What's crack-a-lackin, dudes and dudettes? It's Ness, and I got a new type of video for us today. We are going to be talking about a commander deck tech. Let's get into talking about one of my favorite decks is Maga, Traitor to Mortals. This card is so fun. I like to call this my Death Star deck. It's meant to really just kind of come out of nowhere and just shoot one or more players for massive amounts of damage, and it's a lot of fun. We have a legendary creature that comes from the Kamigawa block. With his ability, basically you pump as much mana into his cost as possible, and when that happens he comes into play with X +1/+1 counters on it, and when he comes into play, target player loses life equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So that's where we kind of go with him. Very simplistic commander, but in order to really make this deck function, what you need to do is really get your mana doublers going. So we've got things like Doubling Cube, we've got Gauntlet of Power, we've got Nyx's Lotus, we've got the Manascape Refractor. This is a very fun card, particularly because it has all the activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. So anytime that you've got great lands, you're going to be able to really, duplicate that. We've got Caged Sun. This is not a cheap deck by any means, but Astral Cornucopia. We've got Liliana of the Dark Realms to be able to double our swamps up. We've also got Cryptghast. We've got Nirkana Revenant. We've got Magus of the Coffers. This is kind of the cheating of mana cost type area. So then we've also got Kirik, Son of Yawgmoth, because he's absurd. This is a card that just cheats mana. Then obviously we've got Cabal Coffers in here, comboed with Orborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, so that each land is a swamp. Cabal Stronghold is in here. Do note that if you're running this, you want to make sure that you're running basic swamps, not basic snow swamps or any of the other types of things. We've got Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, because this is a mono black deck, so we're really able to hone in on that devotion. We've got the Crypt of Agadeem, which gives us a little bit of bonus if we happen to have creatures in our graveyard. Bubbling Muck, which allows us to, for one turn, get a whole bunch of mana. We've got Dark Ritual. And then we get into kind of our regular ramp. We've got things like Soul Ring, Mind Stone, Gilded Lotus. We got Sad Robot. We've got our Medallion, which of course I'm going to tell you right now, we need that reprint. Wizards, where are they? Hopefully that's coming soon. We've got Bantu's Monument. And then we get into Primal Amulet. And then the very last card that I think is kind of mana cheating is Bolas's Citadel. This card is absurd. Again, you can just basically play things for life, which that's one of the best things that black does. Really takes advantage of that stuff. So there's kind of our base setup for massive amounts of mana production. Then we need to really spin the mana. So we've got some different things that we're going to do. We're going to do things like Pestilence, and we're going to double up on this real hard. So we got Pestilence Demon, we got Thrashing Wampus, and we've also got Crypt Rats in here. All four of those cards do essentially the same thing, but really let you pump a bunch of mana into making everyone else's creatures more dead, as well as them. Then we go into Black Sun Zenith. We've got Decree of Pain. We've got Massacre Girl. We've got Toxic Deluge. And those are our board wipes. I've got Defile, Murderous Rider in that fun showcase frame there, Blade Crafter, Fleshbag Marauder, Archfiend of Depravity, Feed the Swarm, which is a new card. If you don't have these are cheap, get them now. This is doing things that black doesn't like to do, so especially if you're in mono black. And then Exsanguinate. And these are really the cards that I kind of use as removal, and minus Exsanguinate. We're kind of going into a new realm here with Exsanguinate. We've got Wound Reflection, so we can double up that good old damage / life loss. We've got Archfiend of Despair, again doing something very similar there. We've got Sower of Discord. Then you gotta have a Gary. He is always a good thing to have in here. We've got Profane Command. This card has way too many things that it can do that are just they're definitely gonna help you out. They may be situational, but you'll always find one that's gonna help you. Then I like to have Consume Spirit in here. A nice little promo version there. Torment of Hailfire, which I know this card is mean, but let's be honest, we're kind of we're running a monocolored deck, and if you're gonna run a monocolored deck, you're having a little less options than the people you're probably playing against. So sometimes you gotta play some mean cards. We got Ashnod's Altar, which we gotta have. You gotta have yourself a sacrifice outlet, particularly for Maga. You want to be able to destroy him as soon as you're done having him on the battlefield, really, because you want to be able to cast him again. And you're really not worried with this deck about commander tax. I usually find that I cast my commander at least 3 times a game if I'm playing this deck, just because of how much mana I have. And you can usually get away with either waiting till things are set up to cast him once for a whole lot, or you cast him a bunch for little turns and then you use him as an attacker until he dies, or you sack him when it's convenient for you. Then we've got Mirage Mirror. Mirage Mirror, I don't think anything needs to be said. That card is stupid. It's so good. If you're not playing Mirage Mirror, you need to put that in every deck you can, basically put it in, because anytime something bad is happening on the battlefield, it can become that, or it can do what you need it to do. The fact that it can become a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land is insane. And it doesn't tap itself when it does that ability. So if you don't have that, add it to your deck. Sword of Sinew and Steel. I specifically got this one in here for artifact hate. It's, I don't find that there's too much that's gonna really be problematic. Honestly, if you've got a Sword of Feast and Famine, I recommend having it in here, just because then you can get that on tap. But I will say that this one is definitely helpful for that target artifact removal. I got a little bit of graveyard hate in here. Relic of Progenitus. You gotta have a little versatility. And here's a new card. I really like this card. Vorpal Sword. This is definitely a card that I feel like is just a little too much fun to. You have the extra mana. Having this extra threat is always fun. Nobody seems to ever think that, they understand when they read it, but they don't quite understand how much mana you have or have at your disposal. So every once in a while it's fun to just equip this and be like, yeah, I'm just getting a +2/+2 and Death Touch, and then when they're, after they forget about it for a turn or two, then you off somebody. Erebos, God of Death, you gotta have him in here. He stops your opponents from gaining life. You really have to do that. Do not let them gain life. Your job is to murder them as fast and as hard as you can, with life loss and Death Star powers. Soren Markov, always a fun meme card. Just the fact that you can drop somebody to 10 for basically 5 mana is kind of insane. Witch's Cottage. This is where we get into a little bit of the specialty lands. I do like having these different types of lands in here. Plus this one actually gets you a creature back, so definitely worth having. Let's clean these up a little bit. So then we've got Ghost Quarter. I think a lot of these don't need too much introduction. Rogue's Passage. This is fantastic for once Maga's already on the battlefield, then you just make him unblockable and you just start smashing face with him. Winding Canyons. You know, gotta be able to enjoy shooting somebody with Maga not on your turn. Especially if you do it right before your turn, because then you can swing him in. Nobody's expecting that. Bajuka Bog. And then I do like putting Blanket of Night in here. This is super nice because some of the time your different lands and things like that don't make swamps. So you got to be able to fix that mana fixing when you need it. I do have a copy of Exquisite Blood in here, and this is just to give you a little more fuel when you need it. I don't believe I have the Infinite Combo in this deck, but it is good. You know, you can do it. It's only 2 cards. I've got Reanimate in here. Definitely worth having a copy of this just because of how cheap it is. Geth is another nice little inclusion here. Definitely put some pain down. Necropotence. By far the best draw spell in black. You gotta have it. We've got Phyrexian Arena for more draw. We've got Beseech the Queen for a little bit of tutor action. Diabolic Revelation, because you can actually afford this card in this deck with how much mana you have. Obnix is pretty good for a little bit of draw. We've got Indulgent Tormentor. Again, relatively cheap demon. It gives you a body, and it does do some life damage, and it helps keep the sacrifices going. Really, this deck kind of punishes the other players by making them sacrifice stuff too, because you're threatening their life total with your commander, but you're also threatening, you know, being able to attack with them because of the fact that they should be sacrificing a lot of creatures. Dread Presence is fantastic for some card draw. Big mana man here, Villas, Broker of Blood, I've got in here. Definitely going to help you out, get you some card draw. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 swamps in this deck. So 37 total lands in this deck. I do have a couple of special mentions, things that I want to put in this deck, or things that I think are debated to be put in this deck. I think a Thespian Stage is something that I should definitely be making room for, because it can copy another land. So you copy your coffers, you copy your, Nykthos, whatever's giving you the most value at the time. And then the other cards that I would recommend are Extraplanar Lens. That's nice. It does benefit the other. It will benefit the other players of black in the game. However, if you're being more successful, if you have more swamps, then you're going to be doing more. So I don't think helping them a little bit is not worth helping yourself a lot. And then finally, I am actually looking to put this card in, the Ozolith, a new card Came out in Ikoria a couple of years ago. When a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature. So if you've cast your commander more than once and this has been out, you're getting so much value for 1 mana. It's too cheap not to run this. This card is so good, and I don't see it run enough in this deck. It's been a while since I've seen anyone do a deck or a attack on this deck, but I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely something a little bit different for the channel, and if you liked it, make sure to do the thing and check out my other Magic videos in this Magic playlist that's going to get shown here in a second.
NES.